Today, my featured guest is Tony and Francis Pappalardo. How Italian can you get here, people? Now, they lived in New York, here in the USA, if you can imagine, with their son Vincent, daughter Emerson, and dog Grizzly. Wow, sounds fierce. Together, they turned an idea to help others live better lives into the Customize Your Life movement. Now, as entrepreneurs, Tony and Francis built a highly successful business. They're in the seven figures that has made them in demand speakers at events around the world and frequent guests on leadership, personal growth, and self help podcasts. I'm not even sure what type of podcast mine is anymore, other than hopefully valuable to you. Now, as certified performance coaches, they've helped people eliminate millions of dollars in debt, restore broken relationships. That's what I do, and build their own businesses. They co founded the initiative Operation Impact, which has raised over $500,000 to fund initiatives both domestically and internationally, equipping and empowering more than 2,000 volunteers in just 3 short years. They've served as advisors for 2 nonprofit organizations. They've occasionally taken on the role of cultural transformation consultants and for major corporations. Now, listen, they're up to something great. They took this idea of customize your life. We're going to hear all about it today, and they turned it into this movement. Now, if you're interested, you may put your hand up and say, Francis, put me in, coach. Now, Francis is on the show today. Unfortunately, her husband could not show up today. She'll explain maybe why. But Francis Pappalardo, welcome to your first 100K, top 100 podcast in entrepreneurship. Go ahead, take 60 seconds, fill in some of the gaps in that intro, would you?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, I am just want to say real quick, I am so honored to be here. I've really feel this has been a godsend. We were vibing a little bit on that before, and I'm just so thankful to be sharing with you and the audience today. So yeah, to fill in any gaps, you did a great job. But we're in that space. We're in the coaching and mentoring space, and we've been doing it for a while now. And it's just been something that has been our driving force and our mission for our life and what we do. Fill in any fun gaps. We love to surf. We love to play. We're just recreational, fun people that love to blend our life with our work. And we were actually recently with Richard Branson on Necker Island, and something that I took away from him that I'm applying to my life is he said, there's no difference between, I wanted there to be no difference between my work and my life. It's all just an expression of who I am. So with our bio, that's why you have our dog Grizzly in there, because it matters.
Grizzly matters, folks.
Grizzly matters because she's part of our life and our work, and it all just blends together. So
I love it. Work-life integration. There's no such thing as balance, right? Because then you're in constant battle with each other. One's got to give. You got to take and steal, borrow from this side. And it's like most people choose money over the relationships, right? That's why they get all these broken relationships. Then they end up broke, alone, and miserable and divorced, right? Like that's the outcome. That's the outcome. So, Francis, let's get into today's show here. Take a minute, share something personal about you that very few people in your business life actually know.
Well, I would say, first of all, I'm very, 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 very open with people in our business. That is part of the nature of our business is vulnerability. We really believe in building the bridge of relationship to bear the weight of truth. That's one of the principles we teach. And so you can't build the bridge of relationship unless you're willing to be vulnerable. So there's actually very, very few things, Joe, that I think my personal business people don't know about me. I'm introverted by nature, although I'll get up and speak in front of thousands of people. I am introverted by nature, but I find the extrovert in me to get out in the crowd and to show love and be that change that I kind of want to see in the world. So I can't hide in my introvertedness. I was made fun of as a kid, so I think that's something that's shocking and surprising for a lot of people when they see the confidence I've been able to build over the years. That's part of my story. But something very real we're going through right now that a lot of people are aware of, but maybe don't know all of the details is that the reason my husband's not on the show today. So do you mind if I share a little bit of that? right
Please
now,
do. I
because I
love
think that
real. I love authentic because it takes away my listeners' excuse to not show up powerfully in their own life or business. So please go
mm,
for it.
I love that. I love that. So, my husband was supposed to join us today, but he's been on what's close to now being a 1 year journey with cancer. Started in June of 2020. He was diagnosed with testicular cancer, which, as many of our viewers might be familiar, it's a very curable form of cancer. So it was one of those things where it's like, hey, it happens, but we've got this. And it sent us on a little bit of a journey. And we thought, yeah, it'll be done in a few months, is for most, right? And here we are. What's this month? It's June now, right? Of
June
2021,
1.
just
Yeah.
June 1st of 2021. And we're still on the journey. And he's gone through traditional standard of care, and they're deeming him non-response to traditional chemo. So he's been sent into that other statistic that we're not going to give too much life to, of the testicular cancer patient, pool, I guess you would say. So we found ourselves in Arizona. We've relocated here. We actually kind of started our journey here, and now we're back, and we're pursuing some alternative, more targeted approaches, more genetically specific approaches to chemotherapy and the regimen that he's going to receive here. Because just because he didn't respond to the blanketed approach doesn't mean that there's not a response that he will receive that will work for him and his body, that's customized, which is what our whole
Yeah.
business and our whole life is about, is customizing your life. So we're getting to customize his personal cancer fight right now, his journey. But I think this has sent us into a new stratosphere of vulnerability with our business, with our community, with anybody that knows us. And so I think something that may be interesting for, or shocking for, folks to hear that do know us right now is just the severity of the situation and where we're at. Now, we're not fearful about it. We're not we are people of faith. We stand on a mightier God than cancer, that we know is going to take this enemy down, and we know that the enemy's for sure going to regret the day that he ever pointed his sword at my husband. But it's a journey, and maybe we had to go on this journey to transform us as leaders, as entrepreneurs, to take our business and our influence to the next level, in a different, more centered approach now,
Mm.
if you know what I mean. So I think just the severity of the situation, we don't like to talk about it a lot, Joe, because we just don't like to give it life. We just like to focus on the victory ahead.
Yeah.
But it is a unique crossroads, and I think it's a very interesting conversation. It could bring up a lot of questions about traditional standard of care, and just sort of that blanketed approach to healthcare versus some of the other alternative approaches that are out there that might make more sense for some people. So
Francis, thank you for sharing so openly the adversity that you're facing right now, not just in your life, but in your business as well. I mean, your husband's your business partner, right? And
100%.
here he is, just kind of having to be stretched in other areas of focus right now, which puts a lot back on you, on your shoulders. And you said off camera, so to speak, that you now find yourself in the role of caregiver as
Mm,
well, a role you never thought would be part of your reality, but yet here you are. So you're caregiver, your mother, your wife, your business owner of a 7-figure business. Like, where do you get the capacity to show up in all these areas effectively?
mm. Well, there's only one answer to that. And I know we have a variety, a mosaic of viewers that are probably listening with all different belief systems. But my capacity now only comes from God. I reached my limit. I reached my personal limit. I thought that I've sort of been a DIY person my whole life. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. Use a little bit of God on the side, but do it yourself.
Hey,
You've got
Francis,
this.
are you a little control freak just like me and the rest of my audience?
Just a little bit.
Just a little
We
bit.
actually
Got it. Please
just a little.
continue.
No, on paper, I actually am. We do these temperament analysis with the folks that come into our program, of in-depth dive into their innate inborn temperament. And there's three categories that show up on your temperament test, and it's your inclusion, which is how you are socially, your control, and your affection. And on in the control category, I'm what they would call a choleric, for anybody that knows the terminology.
Choleric
Um,
temperament. Yep.
Yep, and I'm off the scale. I'm a level, 10 plus plus
Now, a
in
lot of
control.
cholerics, for you listeners out there listening, if you're unfamiliar, cholerics tend to be CEOs of large companies because
Mm.
when they apply that control freak aptitude to business, we're highly effective in business. Unfortunately, we could be very harmful in our relationships at home.
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
two-edged sword, isn't it? Wouldn't you agree, Francis?
Absolutely. We can dive a little bit more into that if you want. I think it's fascinating.
I agree.
Um,
It's fascinating.
yeah,
So let's just cover that just for a second here.
sure.
How have you learned to bring down your little control freak in order to show up? Well, now for your husband, for your kids, for the business, right? That he's absent from maybe here and there. Like,
Hmm.
how did you learn to give up that control? Because that's the most difficult thing for
Mm,
choleric temperaments is to give up
it
control because it's
is.
the very source of life in us.
It is. It's at our core of how we operate. Our operating system is run off of this choleric energy and temperament. And in my inclusion and my affection category, I'm melancholy. So if you
Mm,
know the choleric and the melancholy, those two temperaments are not super highly relational. So being in the role of a caregiver or a mom or a wife, not having any of the other temperament blends like a sanguine or a supine or some of the other blends, it can make me sort of like this. It'd be like having the choleric. Think of the choleric like a general,
mhm.
like a military general. And then the melancholy is kind of like an accountant. They're making sure. So you have this general who's driving the ship, and then you have the little accountant right behind him, like making sure everything's done perfectly. So it can be a real blended up nightmare if you're not operating from what I like to say a healed place. And
Yes.
that's what I found with working people with their temperaments is, you might be listening to this and say, wow, she must be crazy to live with. Yes, I could be, but because I've healed different various parts of myself, my emotional wounds, I've pulled back layers of conditioning, I'm now able to operate from a much more healed place. And in my faith, a place where I'm operating more from a Christ centered perspective, where he's working through me, and I'm able to really lay my life down in a sense, remove my ego, let down my flesh, say, this is how I want to do it, but I know your way is better. And yeah, Joe, it is hard when you when you're wired this way. And I have a feeling, what's your temperament? Because you're smiling a lot. Are you cleric in control as well?
So you're born with a certain primary and secondary temperament, right? We're
Yeah,
all
yeah.
four. We're just different percentages. Everyone's all four of them. So I was born phlegmatic, which is the peacemaker, easygoing,
Yep.
right? And sanguine, right? However, at 19 years old, my first business, I'm doing $2 million. I got 50 employees. They're running over me, steamrolling me, controlling me, and it wasn't working. So I had to learn and develop my choleric, which I got very good at very quickly. And then I was
Mm,
able to build a very successful company around that. But now I've learned to turn it on and off like a light switch. So I could
mm,
go full choleric in the absence of real leadership.
mm-hmm,
I will step right in and run that ship, no,
mm,
without question. But I also saw that too much choleric destroyed relationships in my life,
mm,
big time, because I tended to be a little control freak, dictator type. The dictators of the world tend to be choleric, melancholic
mm-hmm,
combos. It's a very dangerous, volatile combination. So, congratulations on not becoming a dictator. Well done, Francis. Yay, me.
Super
Um,
cheers.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So, Startup Nation, we're not going to go any further with the temperaments. If you want to learn more,
Hmm.
speak with Francis about it or go do your own research. It's been instrumental for me in my own inner work that I've done. It sounds like, Francis, it's been that way for you. And it's very important for you, Startup Nation, as an entrepreneur, to really understand your temperament. What is that pre-wiring that you're constantly fighting against? That is your default switch, and
Mm.
learning how to harness that and be helpful with it rather than hurtful or harmful to others, including yourself. All right, so let's move forward here, Francis. So you're going through adversity right now, right? You guys are kicking butt in business. It's awesome. You got this community. How did you build the community though? Because that's my listeners selfishly, they're like, I'm really inspired right now, Francis. And I'm so sorry you're going through what you're going through. But can you give me your 3 tips and strategies, please? Because I'm a little selfish control freak myself and I want to build my business and grow it faster. Okay. And they're going through their
Yeah,
own struggle. We all have their own struggle. So let's go
sure.
there real quick. What are your top 3 tips and strategies for Startup Nation to cross their 100K mark? Maybe they've never hit 6 figures before. You remember what that was like, when maybe you didn't
Hmm.
believe in yourself. You said you had to strip away limiting belief systems. How did you
Yep.
do it? What can they do right now, this week, this month, this year?
All right. Well, here's the first thing that you have to do. I know this is going to sound trite, but you have to know exactly what you're shooting for. Okay. We work with a lot of people and when they come to the table, they want to start customizing their life, right? So, what's the core of customizing your life? It's living a life that's more intentional with your values. It's not the step and repeat. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I feel called to do. This is what I'm inspired to do. This is what I want to do. You have to know exactly what it is you're looking to do specifically. You can't manage what you can't measure. So if you don't know what you're measuring, you don't know what you're doing. You have this arbitrary, lofty goal of, I want to make $100,000. I want to make $250,000. I want to become a millionaire. I want to become a billionaire. But what does that mean specifically? What are you going to do? And I would aim your target around achieving value-based goals versus monetary goals, because if it's a value-based goal first and you just focus on offering value to the world and serving other people, filling needs, finding gaps, filling a space, if you focus on the value of what you're giving, well, I can assure you that the value will come back to you. The monetary value will start to come back to you. So number one, do you know exactly what it is that you want? Do you know exactly what it is that you're doing? Is it value-based? I want to be really clear. It's okay to have a monetary goal attached to it, but that shouldn't be your primary focus.
So,
If you're
Francis,
thinking,
I get that. Can you give us an
yeah,
example of what was your and Tony's specific thing that you were shooting for, value based, when you started Customize Your Life movement?
absolutely. Well, first of all, we were in pursuit of customizing our own life, and we found some mentors that helped us do that. And as we started on our journey, we said, we really want to help other people do the same thing. We really want to bring people on this journey with us. And so our mission statement was to help other people live better lives. Sounds very simple, but when it becomes your dedication and your focus, it is a very actionable thing to do to help other people live better lives. We wanted to create a lineage of legacy-based leaders that were then going to be doing the same thing. So really create a compounding effect. So we started way back in the day with the goal of just wanting to hit 1,000 people, 1,000 entrepreneurs that want to lead better lives, want to customize their life. That was our first measurable goal
Now,
in
how
the
did you
beginning.
measure that you helped someone improve their life? Like, was there an actual
Yeah.
metric for each person? Was it the same? Was it different based on each person's goals? How did you do
Yeah.
that?
Good question. So with a process of what we do, we we sit down with people and we help them define how they want to customize their life. For each person it's different. So we couldn't say every person that we help hit, $50,000 in extra income, or every person that we help pay off, $100,000 of debt. Each person had a different, and that's the whole beauty of customization, right? That each person is made different, thinks different, believes different, wants different. So with each person, if we could help them, if we could help 1,000 people achieve their goals of customizing their life with paying off their debt,
Mhm.
and for many, establishing an income revenue stream, right? So that they can bring in more income. If we can help 1,000 people do those two things initially, this is how we started. There's more to it now, but then we felt, hey, that would be our first major milestone. There were
Okay.
minimal, there were smaller milestones along the way.
Yep.
And by the way, it's important to have those and celebrate those. But that was our first major milestone marker.
All right. So, Startup Nation, I hope that question was helpful to you because I think Francis gave great insight there that they got very clear and specific on two metrics they were going to help people improve in their life, which was eradicating debt and creating a new revenue stream in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And if they were able to achieve one or both of those, I'm guessing they helped improve that person's life. Their goal was to do that 1,000 times for 1,000 people. And
Correct.
that specifically is how you built this empire. I could see that working, and I
Mm-hmm.
get why that worked. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I think I know for myself, I've forgotten to do things like that before when I started companies where I wasn't very clear. I was just like, gave this general statement: I'm going to help impact all these lives. Well, what does impact actually look like in
Mm-hmm.
someone's life? How do you know you helped them achieve the result? How do you know you both had a victory? Should you even celebrate? If you're not clear on the target, as you said, Francis, then you don't know. It's just it's ambiguous, right? All
Right.
right. What's your number two top tip or strategy for Startup Nation?
So number two is principle based. People are your most appreciable asset. I want to throw that one out there since we're in the digital age and it's easy to make money online and it's easy to, not easy. I shouldn't say that. There can be fast track ways of figuring out click funnels and doing all of these things online. But at the end of the day, if you don't have relationships with people, whether it's your tech people, it's people behind the scenes, it's your clients. If you don't have people that you're investing into, I personally don't believe that you're building a business that's meant to last because
Mm,
we don't build businesses, we build people and the people build the businesses. That's how we look at our work, right? So we don't focus on we're going to help them build this thing. In fact, they'll do it way better than we could ever do, right? Because they're the one that they're meant to do it. We're not meant to build their
that's right.
business. They're meant to build their business. So we invest in them as people and then they build the businesses. So for those of you, whether you have online business, whether you have in-person business, whatever it is that you do, make sure that and this is coming from a choleric melancholy, a very non-relational temperament, although I have conditioned and developed many other sides of myself. But um, the point is, if you're not investing in people, you're missing the boat. If you're just trying to move the levers, click the buttons, flip the switches, but you're not investing in the people that are behind the switches, behind the buttons, behind the levers, it's not built to last. So relationships are key. Ask yourself, what are the top things I'm doing every day to invest in the people that make my business, whether that's them working for your business or it's your clients? What are you doing to invest into them as people?
Mm. So I really get that. I'm just going to summarize in my own words, Startup Nation: build people, not outcomes and results. Even for
Mm.
those people, like build the people, like you build them up, they'll get the outcomes and results, right? It's part of their vision, their calling, etc. All right. I like that a lot. Francis, what's your number three tip and strategy here? What you got?
Number three, think scalable. You want to think in terms of with everything that we're doing, is this scalable, right? I'm assuming that the listeners of this podcast, they want to go big, right? Your first 100K, you guys are thinking first 100K, but when's the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one, right? You guys are very big thinkers and big dreamers, which is wonderful. You want to think scalable. The number one mistake that we find that most business owners make, that they bring us in to consult for them, they bring us in to coach them. The number one mistake that they make is they don't think scalable. So they make decisions based upon what they can do now with them in a client interaction or the particular situation that they have, but they don't think on a macro level. Well, I have 50 clients now, but what happens when I have 1,000? What happens when I have 10,000? What happens when I have 100,000? Is the metric, or the really is the system that you're installing today one that can be used on the next 100, on the next 1,000, and the next 100,000 and still sustain? If it is made just for what you have today, it's going to be very difficult to then scale that business. So we think we always challenge the people that we consult and coach to really think on a more scalable level. And that's really just thinking on a macro level versus a micro level.
I can really see that as being one of the number one challenges you get to see it with business owners for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Being in this constant reaction mode to just what's happening right here, right now. That's all some people see. They can't see past it. And you're saying, no, you must see past it if you want to create a sustainable business. Create
Yep.
processes now that not only work for what's happening in front of you, but it's gonna work 10x what's happening in
Mm-hmm.
front of you as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, got it. Awesome.
Yeah. And we really like to think like, how can we work ourselves out of the equation?
Yeah.
Which is an interesting question. If you were to ask yourself, how can I work myself out of my own business equation? Oh my, wait a minute, but my business is supposed to revolve around me. Is
I
it
am
though?
so important. Do you have any idea how important I am? Like
Right.
I am so needed. I need to feel needed. Like and that's exactly why you're staying small, Startup Nation.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
kind of mindset. It's the wrong mindset. It's very self-centered rather than other-centered.
Yes. Yes. We tell our people, look, you should be better than we are. And why should they be better than we are? Because we get to lend our experience, we get to lend our wisdom, we get to pass on the things that we've learned. So they should be able to take it, grab it, digest it, metabolize it quicker than we did. Why? Because we lived it. So we can give you 10 plus years. You can take that and digest it in a few months, a year. Maybe it takes you 3 years to digest it, but that should give you at least a 3 year ramp up on us. And we want you to be better than we ever were. And to us, that's the idea of success. And because we want our business to carry on after we're gone. We don't want our business to live and die with us. That's not what it's about. If that's the case, then it was all about Tony and Francis. And that's not the idea. We don't want it to be about Tony and Francis. It's about the people that we serve, the community that we've built together. And so if you think about it that way and you really invest in equipping, empowering, and building up the people that work for you or with you, however you look at it, then now you're talking about really building a legacy-based lineage business that's going to outlast you. And I believe that should be the goal for anybody, right? Because we think about the generations that we're raising on behind us. If you have kids, if you want to build something of true value that's going to continue to serve the world for as long as it can serve it, whether you're here or not.
For all you kingdom entrepreneurs out there, you Christian entrepreneurs, listen, this is the model of the master himself, Jesus, that Francis is talking about. He said, even greater miracles than these that you've seen me do, you're going to go do. I'm teaching you to do even more than me, right? That's the exact same model. So I believe that's why it works, Francis. Well done. Well done. Okay. Francis, what have we not shared that you think it's critical for Startup Nation to hear right now? Maybe it's a mental thing, a mindset, a belief thing that's holding them back. Maybe it's something that really held you back or held your husband back. And once you got through that, man, you just saw a complete shift in your growth and your revenue for your business. What does Startup Nation need to hear right now from you?
I believe that the challenge with most entrepreneurs, Joe, is consistency. And I know you guys have heard this before. Like, oh, consistency. I've written that down 100 times. Okay. Well, listen up real quick.
Everybody just dropped their
It's
pens.
it is the actual secret sauce. It is the actual what is the keys to success. It is the actual answer. I used to hear it all the time from leaders like and different, thought leaders that I'd listen to be like, oh yeah, consistency, just stay on it, just keep going. And I'd be like, all right, yeah, I get it. But I didn't really get it. And now, and I think one of the reasons why I didn't get it is because I was always consistent. Like personally, I know that sounds, my dad raised me to be highly accountable to everything that I did. So consistency was something that was built into me from childhood. So I thought, well, there has to be something else. Well, now that I'm on the other side of it and I study entrepreneurs and I study their journey, because that's who we're working with, that's who we coach and we consult, I see this just roller coaster of emotion that happens where what a lot of entrepreneurs is they get really excited and do a lot of work for 2 3 weeks, a month, maybe 6 months, whatever. It's a period of time that they do a lot of work and it's this outburst of energy, and then they fall down, and then they don't do anything, and then they do another burst of energy, and then they fall down, and then they don't do anything. So it's consistency, 100%.
So I totally get what Francis is saying. Startup Nation, consistency, consistency. The more I do business, the longer I do business, I also realize it's all about consistency. I don't want it to be about consistency because that takes work and patience, which I am very limited in. And I'm guessing you are as well. But it's the secret sauce. Are you willing to show up and do the same thing that's working over and over again, even if you're not getting the major result yet? It's on the way. You just got to keep going. So that's what I want to say to you. All right. So, Francis, we're going to wrap up the show. Welcome to my favorite part of the show. Welcome to the hustle round. I'm going to ask you 10 quick fire questions. You'll have about 3 seconds to answer each. Don't overthink it. It's just for fun. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. And listen, we get that you got your little baby in the background, so totally understand that. I got a 1-year-old. This is part of doing business. And I know all you mommy entrepreneurs out there, sometimes you feel mommy guilt because you got to like leave your kids at home and go to work, but you're doing it for them. Listen, stop beating yourself up. The world already beat you up enough. Give yourself a little grace. Do the best you can. Do it for a short amount of time, and then create that great life for them. All right. So, Francis, here we go. What is your favorite thing about being an entrepreneur?
Um, oh gosh. Wow. 3 questions, 3 seconds, go. Favorite thing about being an entrepreneur, leaving a legacy.
Yeah, good answer. What's your least favorite thing?
Uncertainty.
Yeah, a lot of it for sure. What are you most afraid of?
Never not having done enough to
Mm,
accomplish my mission, my
yeah,
calling.
I get that. I believe we're all struggling with something at any given moment of our life. It's just part of being human.
Mm.
Obviously, you shared some of the struggles that you have right now personally. What are you guys struggling with professionally right now? Maybe in the business, is there a struggle?
Mm. Business for us, is this a 3 second answer? This isn't, right? Because
Yeah,
it
you
can't
just
be.
used 2.5. Go ahead.
Oh no. Oh, yeah. So it's been an interesting year for us with business because of everything my husband's been going through. So I think fortunately, in a lot of ways, the business has grown. In other ways, it's fallen back a little bit where our leadership is more required. So it's been an interesting release and ebb and flow for us to watch as in terms of letting others lead more and there's a little bit of what we believe a short-term discomfort for a long-term greater result when others are learning how to lead.
Mhm.
They have to get their sea legs. You might see a little bit of a fallback, but it's for a long-term greater results in the end. So removing him more from the equation this past year, I've stepped it up and covered a lot more ground, but I've certainly not been able to do everything. And so I would say that's been the struggle. But again, I don't believe it's a struggle. I believe it's a short term struggle for long-term greater result, because our
Uh,
leaders and the people, and by the way, I say that I call the people that we work with leaders. I believe
mhm.
everybody's a leader in their, own capacity. They're growing stronger.
Yeah, for sure. And I get that because that's your third tip and strategy, which is think scalable and get yourself out of
Hmm.
your own business. Well, how do you
Yep.
do that? Well, you got to trust others that you hired to actually learn and do the thing you hired them for. And
Right.
typically, they're only going to hit it 8 out of 10 times, even
Mm.
though you, choleric woman, are capable of hitting 10 out of 10, which I get, right? So it's really difficult to let go of that baton when you know they're going to do less performance and less effectiveness than you. But as I learned in business, 80% is good enough. It's actually really good metric in business. Okay.
Mm.
So
And that 20%'s the learning zone, right?
that's exactly it. So if they can hit 80%, hand it over.
Yep.
Hand it over. That's the winning formula for all you leaders out there in your business. Stop expecting them to get 90 or 100% of how the way you do it, just how you do it. It's an unrealistic expectation. And it's really just a secret way of you avoiding letting go of your own darn business, you little control freaks out there. Just to be real with everybody, okay? And I'm talking to myself here. What did you
Yep.
spend
Yep. Join
way
the club.
yeah, what did you spend way too much time doing this past year?
Way too much. Oh, I don't know if that I don't know if that question, too much time. I don't know if that question totally applies to me, just because my time taken in so many different ways this past year. So I just, I spent good quality time caring for my family,
Mm,
and stepping up my own personal capacity in business and entrepreneurship, and the role in what we do, taking on both of our roles in that capacity. So
yeah.
too much time doing any one thing.
I'm gonna let you off the hook
Yeah, I don't
because I
know.
get that
Thanks.
this adversity has made you sharpen your priorities for sure. I
Yeah.
really get that.
You know what?
What's
Maybe too much time watching Coco Melon or Little Angel with my 3-year-old sometimes. I
nah,
think
that's quality
anytime
time
watching
with the
that might be too
baby.
much.
Yeah, I get that. What secret fear
Yeah.
do you have about people?
Oh, secret fear about people. I think I don't like to claim fears as much in my life, but I guess it would be being misunderstood. I never I guess I would fear sometimes folks misunderstanding me, more so for them, because my intention is never to hurt people.
Yeah.
But I might have to speak some truth, and I might have to, I'm just always gonna, I'm just me. I'm blunt. I can get right to the core of things. So, but I never
Yep.
intend to hurt anyone.
Yeah, I get that. That's been me my whole life. I get it. What do you wish you had learned sooner in your business?
Scalability.
Yeah, for sure. What's a new habit you want to create?
Mhm. Gonna get back on the health habit. I've sacrificed a lot of my own personal health just being a caregiver. So now
Not
I'm
allowed. It's not
yes.
sustainable. All right.
No.
What is a bad
No.
habit you want to break?
I'm cutting out sugar. I know this
Good.
isn't a health podcast here, but
Sure it
I'm
is.
cutting out sugar as much as I can this year.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm doing my own program. I lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks of
Hey.
this visceral fat people. The over 40 dad bod. That does not work for me. Sorry, it's not part of my
Yep.
vision for myself or my life. Not
Yep.
happening. Pick 3 words to describe who you are now.
Who I am now, I would say resilient. Um, Resilient, steadfast, and faith filled.
Yeah, that's awesome. Pick 3 words to describe who you are your first year in this business.
Hmm. Insecure. Uh, um, Insecure, maybe unrelenting with myself and with others. And unsure.
Yeah, I get that. And last question, Francis, if you could come back to life after you died, look your family and friends in the eye, and give them only one piece of advice about everything,
Mm.
what would you say to them?
I'm going to say what my father said to me before he passed away. He said, just do your best every day. And he said, I'm not saying that you have to be the best, right? Understand what I'm saying, but do your best every single day. And that stuck with me because I can be a competitor at heart, and that's not what it's about. And that's not what life's about. Life's about doing your personal best every day. And that might look different from year one when I didn't have a care in the world and I was starting as an entrepreneur all the way. I my personal best could be in different realms and capacities and margins and lanes. And now my personal best is for my husband, for my child, and for my business. And if I can hit those three things every day, I can put my head on my pillow and go to sleep. I may not be training for a marathon right now. I may not be able to do all the things that I want to do, but let me do my best every single day. And that is enough.
Amen to that. Any final wisdom? What's the one thing you want my listener to know about crossing that six-figure mark this year?
I just want you to know you can do it. You can absolutely do it. Whatever you set your mind to, you can do it, but it has to become your all consuming focus. Whatever it is that you want in life, if it's going to be a measurable goal, like we talked about before, it has to become a daily focus for you. It cannot be this roller coaster of ups and downs. It has to be something that you think about every day, you live every day. And like Richard Branson said, your work and your life are just an expression of who you are. So allowing that to blend in a way that's not, yes, it's not all consuming your family. We're not looking for your spouse to get upset with you. But if it just starts to become a part of who you are and you're living out of your values and you're coming from that whole healed place where your work becomes your mission and you know what you're looking to do and you're living that in all aspects of your life, you can absolutely do anything.
All right, Startup Nation, get off your rear end and go get it. Go get it. All right, Frances, thank you for being. Well, actually, before we go, where does Startup Nation go to find out more about you, more about Tony and your journey together? About they want to customize their own life. They like you. They like the way you showed up today. They connect with you. There's a bond there. They want to reach out to you. Where did they go?
You can go to customizeyour.life. It's not a .com, it's customizeyour.life. You can check us out there. You can check out our philanthropy work at operationimpact.co.co. You can look us up on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way. And then you can find everything from there. So I'm Frances Pappalardo with an underscore. He's Tony Pappalardo with an underscore. And from there, you can see all of our link trees and everything, and you can figure it all out from that launching point. So if you do, we thank you in advance, and we'd be humble and honored to connect with you.
All right, Frances, thank you. Thank you to your husband, Tony, for lending you to us. You are the customize your life couple. I get it. All right. And thank you for being on your first 100K. I wish you God's love, peace, and joy in your life.